Well, hey everybody, this is Chris DiFurio with Keys to the Shop. Welcome to another edition of Shift Break. Today's episode is brought to you by La Marzocco, who has been creating espresso machines by hand in Florence since 1927. Some of the world's best coffee bars use La Marzoccos, and they are just the quintessential espresso machine of the coffee industry because their innovation, beauty, and reliability has given them that reputation. I mean, I grew up in the industry on La Marzoccos, a very special place in my heart. Love them to death. And one great example of the innovation that's really all for their clients' benefit is the KB90 espresso machine. This machine has straight-in locking portafilters that La Marzocco invented to help with ergonomics. It also has scales in the drip tray to increase the accuracy of extraction and auto flush in the group heads to help with cleanliness and workflow. And it's just one of many examples of espresso machines that La Marzocco has to suit your needs and desires. All you need to do is reach out to info@lamarzocousa.com, and one of their salespeople will help you get outfitted with the exact right machine for you. And don't forget to check out their website over at lamarzocousa.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by Espressly, who's creating custom branded mobile apps for coffee shops. You definitely don't want to be just a dot on a map. You want to have the real estate of the customer's phone. When they open that app, it's nothing but you, your logo, your beautiful menu items. It really is an extension of your culture as service. It's a convenience that your customer will surely appreciate. And now, it's a no-risk model when you use Espressly. There's no setup or development fees. You get a drive-through payment scanner, receipt and label printing capabilities. All the data is stored in the app, and it integrates with some of the world's best payment processing systems, including Square. So there is a lot here that is just making Espressly a wonderful option for you to reach out and have them get started on your custom branded mobile app today. Reach out over at espressly.co. That's espressly.co. All right, everybody. Well, today I wanted to talk to you about a question that I think customers ask, not just when they are in line before you're open and they're just putting their hands over their eyes up against the window, like, is the barista back there? I can see them. Are they open? And they're just trying to get their coffee sooner, which is super annoying. But, I understand people love us so much. They can't wait to see us drink our lovely coffee. So let's be optimists about it, I guess. But I'm talking about the question that customers ask themselves sort of tongue in cheek when they walk into a coffee bar and everyone behind the bar looks as though they have just been drugged and is slouched over the counters, back turned. Maybe there's nobody there. Maybe they're all just watching a video in the back because we like to hide away and then we like to just pop our heads out if we hear a rustling. And, certainly I'm guilty of this. If I find myself at the counter of a POS station or something and the baristas aren't there, but I know they're in like the barista closet doing something, I'll put my keys on the counter just slightly so like there's a sound and, oh yeah, there's somebody out front. They kind of like poke their heads out like a box turtle. Hello, what can we get you? The question you ask yourself is like, are you open? Especially toward the end of the day, of course, you want to ask that question, like, are you still open? But I want to talk first about, there's two stages of this. The first one is the one where, yeah, of course you're open. And it's like the middle of the day, the hours say that you're open. Everyone, there's people in the cafe. But the question that you ask yourself is, are these people even open? Like, I don't even know. Are they engaged? Do they show that they're ready to serve? And the disposition we have behind the bar communicates an incredible amount to the customer. And what we do with our culture oftentimes is we have this us versus them mentality, like baristas versus customers, which means as soon as there's no customers, we just redirect all of our energy to barista world. Then I'm not talking about work. I'm not talking about side work or, cleaning and prepping and doing other things related to the job that you've clocked in to do. I'm talking about just whatever, conversations and, phones and things like that. So there's this mindset that's just anxiously searching, really searching all the time to find a way to not do stuff, to like, how can I get back to the closet, the barista closet where my phone is so I can check my messages? And if that's the mentality we have, I don't know if this is controversial or not, but if you have this pervasive mentality of escapism at every opportunity behind the bar, I dare say that you might not be able to call yourself a professional in a meaningful way. The difference between somebody who gets promoted oftentimes and somebody gets recognized for good work is somebody who's engaged in the work. And I'm always shocked. I don't know why I'm always shocked, but the people who just say, I want to work in a coffee shop, I want to do this job, I'm really passionate about coffee. And then all of a sudden they get behind the bar, and really what they're passionate about is their phone. And they're passionate about, anything but being on the job, doing the work. And so was that not true? I tend to think we overstate our passion for things, maybe to get the job. But let's say that it is true. Let's say that you are passionate about the job. Then that passion is actually really not a great way to sustain you during the hardest parts of the job. Really, what you're looking for is discipline and a reason why you're doing the work you're doing. So if you're just enamored with coffee, if you're just like, oh, I really love coffee and I love the atmosphere and I'm passionate about people, okay, then you go to work for a coffee bar. It gets really hard. What do you fall back on? Because now the passion is like a rug pulled out from underneath you. And this is where this kind of insular barista culture goes. Oftentimes managers and owners will also get involved in that. And it's born from this kind of self-protected mentality where, again, it's an us versus them thing. I don't think that you can really say you're doing an amazing job if all you're thinking about is trying to not do anything or trying to do as little as possible, you know? And so that is, I think, a lot of the reason why when you walk into a coffee bar sometimes, you encounter people who feel like they've got the life sucked out of them. It's not really owners or managers' job to inflate you every single day to be motivated to do your work. As a adult human being, you are responsible for your own motivation. Now, we can inspire, we can provide opportunities for more inspiration and come alongside the existing motivation that you have and enhance that and make it easier. But it's not a game of replacement, something that's not there. And that's when I walk into a coffee bar, I see this. It's a mentality issue. Are you really open? This is a terrible question to have asked because a customer who walks into a place where it feels like nobody wants to be there and they're just kind of avoiding embracing the fact that they're serving customers makes that person feel really bad. And they're less likely to come there very often. And your numbers are going to reflect this. A lot of the times, if you want to increase your revenue, one of the first places that you can start looking is really how good is your service? Do people really see you as a place that's truly open? Are you open? Really? How open are you? When you click the sign on, are you ready to bring people into the cafe, make coffee for them, represent the hard work? You can't overstate just how much energy has gone into one cup of coffee, and we're going to make it a game of tag with our phone? That's the ultimate insult to me. I don't mean to try to guilt people here, but just think about that for a second. We all, no matter what you do in the coffee shop, have a responsibility to bear in mind what we represent to the customer. Now, maybe you don't work in a coffee shop that gives a rip about the farmer, about coffee. And then maybe you have an excuse to just be apathetic about these things and create an atmosphere that's really dour and down and avoidant, no eye contact, no smiles. Well, coffee. Okay, but I don't think that's who you are if you're listening to this show. I think you work in a place that has a mission and a vision and the values of specialty coffee, that wants to advance the industry, who wants to see equity happen, who wants to work hard for the sake of others, including your customers. Working hard for your customers, being fully open and embracing them and being ready to serve well is how you serve farmers and others involved in the supply chain that we're all up in arms about. Oh, they need to have, more money and this and that. Yes, of course they do. But when it starts with you doing your job very, very well and finding ways to do it even better, because that is the last few yards that coffee has to go. And if we fumble, okay, if we were doing our best, that's what happens. We all make mistakes, right? But if we fumble because of apathy, because of, just this avoidant, is no other way to put it, is laziness of leadership, laziness of barista work and professionalism, then shame on us. And I'll guarantee you so much of what we could be seeing in the industry that we're not is probably at the hands of lost energy in places that are open technically, but are not really fully open, or not really providing that kind of experience that energizes people about coffee, let alone your business. So that's what I want to talk about here, is presenting ourselves, even if it's the end of the shift and somebody comes in for a cappuccino. My mother had this happen, really. She doesn't know I'm going to talk about this, but she went to a place where she wanted a ceramic cup, and, she's been having a rough go of it lately. And she requested a cappuccino in a ceramic cup. It was 15 minutes before they were going to close. And the barista was crestfallen and visibly upset, what I was told, about this ceramic cup, and made this big song and dance about, like, well, I guess I can go get it from the washing machine and wash it and serve it. And, like, let's start pulling out the tiny violin type of thing, instead of serving someone who really, if you knew, really needed a nice cappuccino. Okay. But no, it kind of soured the experience. So that's where you get the customers who go out there and they say, well, I'll go in if this barista is working or that barista is working. Or if all your baristas are like that, or your boss is like that, or your manager is like that, your customers will just go to a different place. And, it's hard for us to track these things. And so we never attribute it to, oh, that's why. It's because we're not fully open. It's because we're not actually embracing the fact that we're here on the clock doing a job that is of such great importance. I get it. I mean, I've worked in coffee long enough to know that we're just human beings. There's a lot of emotional labor that goes on here. There's a lot of weariness that goes on here. And I have had my fair share of moments where I'm just like, oh man, I'm just like lit. Okay. Even if you have to go through the motions, you're at work and you represent something bigger than yourself when you're at a coffee shop. You do. It's not about you being your authentic and true self and just letting your emotions just out there. You have a job to do that represents something more than you. So when you're in those moments, maybe you need to rely on your coworkers a little bit more and open up to them, be like, I need to switch with you so you can work register, because right now I feel like I'm really not feeling people, and I've certainly done that. Managers, owners, you need to look into this too, because again, we're not robots. We can't just do this all day long because we lose energy. But we do need to preserve this state of readiness throughout the day for service and innovate ways to do that. Let's innovate ways to present a more consistent, exuberant, energetic, and open mentality and attitude on the bar. So people walk in and they see us as a light that's already switched on, not something that they have to activate just when they walk up to the register, only to, see it get shut off as soon as they leave. Right. So anyway, this is what I wanted to talk about today. I hope it makes sense to you. If we're open, let's be open. Let's take this as a mission individually and corporately, and not fumble this last few yards in coffee and really embrace the customer. And in doing so, embrace those who have put in so much work before us to make coffee happen. So I hope that that is helpful for you and inspires some thoughts. Thank you very much for listening. And I will see you here next week on another edition of Shift Break, from keys to the shop.